Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pinkie is Crazy, and today, do I have a video for you? I'll keep it very simple and very quick. I got married back in November 22nd of 2024. From then, it's probably been about maybe let's say 6 months since I got married. And when I got married, my wife had a $22,000 settlement from a truck trailer she was in, and we ended up going homeless. And having a 4-year-old that we had to take care of, which isn't my daughter, I will add, not that I don't treat her like she's my daughter, just that she wasn't my daughter. So just throw that out there. So she's with her baby daddy now. But before that, what we would do is we would go out and stay in hotels because we were evicted from our house because of her best friend had went over and talked to the landlord and told him about all a bunch of BS, basically saying that I was a terrible guy and that I did all these terrible things. And the landlord didn't like me. He was an older guy, just didn't really love it. So my wife and I got married, went to the sheriff's office. We had a great time. We talked to the sheriff. They got us married. We went to the courthouse. We got our papers, right? We're literally 1 minute late to our wedding. We get there. My dad ends up paying for the arrangement. He pays for the fact that, we're going to get married. He pays for the certificate and everything. And we get married, put our rings, we say our vows. It's kind of off the top of our heads. And we started off, right? We started off our marriage. And so baby daddy was like, "Hey, let me have my daughter, and y'all can go do whatever." And I was like, "Okay, bet." So my wife, at this time, I didn't even ask what our honeymoon was. She's just we got in the car after we got married, and she's like, "So you ready for the honeymoon?" And I had totally forgot there's a thing called a honeymoon, right? Totally forgot about it. You get married, you would think you would know what a honeymoon was, right? Totally forgot about it. So she's like, I was like, "So where do you want to go?" And she's like, "I want to go to Tennessee." And I'm like, "Okay, let's go drop our daughter off with her baby daddy, and we will drive there." Well, we drop her off. We drive all the way down to North Carolina. Drop her off. I'm in Virginia, by the way. Drop her off. After we drop her off in North Carolina, we stop at this like fun place. It's a place for people to play arcades and stuff like that. And we were originally going there to do bowling, right? So that's what we're gonna do. My wife loves bowling, by the way. So that's what we were originally going to do, but there was a long wait. It was like an hour or so late. So we were like, "Hey, you know what? We'll actually sit there and we'll play other games." And so we kind of went to these machines and played and had a blast. They had really cool arcades, fun, just so much fun. We ended up winning probably about, I think it was like 5 or 10,000. I'm pretty sure it was probably 20,000 if I can remember, 20,000 tickets, because we were doing the little gambling machine where you drop coins in, and what those coins end up doing is they fall on in the machine, and the coins end up knocking the coins off into the collector. But the collector, though, if you shot it outside of it, you didn't get those coins. So the coins had to fall within a certain point to get them. So I ended up getting her a sloth and a turtle, like a stuffed animal, and she absolutely loved it. So we, unfortunately, though, it was a Sunday, and I had court on Monday for the guy that pulled the gun on me. So we had to go to court. So I was like, "All right, let's go stay at the hotel that we're at right now, and then we'll go." So that's what we ended up doing. We ended up staying there. Nothing crazy happens, right? We just stay there, chill out. And so we go to sleep. We go to court the next morning. Court went as great as usual. His dad had broken his leg, so he was a witness. His dad was a witness, and his dad broke his leg. So yeah, so homie was not gonna be there, so we had to continue it after sitting there for 2 hours. And after that, my wife is like, "All right, you ready to go?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we went to Waffle House. We got some waffles, got some good food. And then we filled the car up, and we started driving. We started driving from Petersburg, Virginia, to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And the reason my wife wanted to go to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, is she had this experience when she was younger, right? She had this long experience when she was younger, so she was like, "That's where I want to go. I've already been there with my dad before. It was a great time. I never had any issues there, so I was like, okay, awesome. We'll do that. We'll go there. I don't have an issue with it. You don't have an issue with it. That's what we'll do." So we start driving down there. We stop off, do a little bit of gambling. I had a gambling issue at the time. So I was like barred by this little $10 tickets, and I won like $10 off them or $40 on them. They're really good. I was actually really good with them, so that's what I would do. And as time went on, we kind of just drove down there, kept driving, and it got late night. It got really late, and we had to stop off. And I was tired. I had drove for probably about a long time. After all, I had stayed longer than I should have, and it was about 11 o'clock at night because we had stopped and we're seeing different sites. We went to Lynchburg. We stayed in Lynchburg, looked at a few things in Lynchburg. There were some like cows out there further out, and we just kind of stopped. So we stopped off at a hotel. It was like $106 a night, and at the time, I wasn't thinking about money at the time, so I didn't really think about it. They had a pool, but it was late though, so the pool was closed. They had a gym. I didn't even get to go to the gym because my wife wanted to spend time with me, and it's our honeymoon, so I wanted to spend time. So end up spending this time together, and we end up playing billiards, and we found out that we both love playing billiards. It was a great experience, right? And as far as right now, I'm telling you, oh, everything's great. Don't worry, it's gonna turn for the worse. So the next morning, her mom ends up calling us, and she's like, "Yeah, your aunt wants to see you." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, we're literally going right by her in Abington, Virginia." I'm like, "All right, that's cool. You know what? We're literally going right by her, so I don't see any reason why we can't see her." So we stop by, we say hi, the whole shebang, and we just kind of talk for a minute. And we have a great time, and and this is kind of foreshadowing, right? God is crazy. And we're like, "Hey, look, Tiffany, or my wife and I, right? We stop there, we have beers, we smoke some ganja, we have a great conversation. They like me and everything." And she ends up asking before we're leaving, she's like, "Is your car always going on? Like, does it always cuts on? Like, did your fan always cut on?" And I was like, "Yeah, it does that from time to time." And she was like, "Okay." So I ended up driving off, and I drive off. And when I was driving off, I remember her aunt had told us that there's a new Chinese restaurant around the corner, and we love Chinese, so we're like, we'll go check it out. We'll go look at it. We'll see what it's all about, and we'll see if I love it or not. So we end up driving around the corner. We go check this place out. It's brand new. It's a 2-story Chinese buffet, and we're like, all right, that sounds pretty cool. But it was only like $20 per person. It wasn't bad at all. So we have a great time. We talk about it. We eat these nice food. They had ice cream, sushi, crab. A bunch of different good stuff over there. So we ended up knocking that out, having a fun time, and now it's okay. Now it's time to drive to Tennessee, right, to Gatlinburg. So we get in the car, and before we leave, I hear a loud boom, right? I hear a boom in the car, and when I look, and I kind of heard it, but I thought it was the kids behind us because there's also construction going on. So I was thinking to myself, oh, these are probably just the people, they're probably messing with us, so ain't no point to get alarmed over it, right? So I was like, I ain't gonna get alarmed over it. I'm just gonna have a great time. Ain't gonna get too mad. And so we end up driving, and we get into the beginning of Tennessee. We ended up stopping the car. We look at Tennessee sign, and then we go to the Bass Pro Shop. We go look at the Bass Pro Shop, and the car was already acting wonky, right? I didn't know what was wrong with it. It was just acting a little wonky. Had a little starting issues, but at the time I didn't really know what was going on, right? I'll tell you the story about the Bass Pro Shop. I went in the Bass Pro Shop. We talked to the lady at the front. They were offering these special deals. You sign up for one of their cards, and when you sign up for their cards, you can right, oh my goodness, you get to when you sign up for their cards, you get this you get a free knife, a free hat, and a credit card, right? So we go ahead and we go sign up for it just for the multi-tool like butterfly knives and everything. It's like a Swiss Army knife, but it's not a Swiss Army knife. I don't know what to call it. So that's what we end up getting, right? We ended up getting that, and then we go in there. They got a little fish tank in there. They were like bass, and they were like 10 or 12 years old. And like I was telling my wife about it, and I was like, "Yeah, those are some crazy looking fish." And so they have stories on them, when they got caught, why they were caught, how they were caught, like what bait was used. And I was like, all right, that's dope. So we look at the stuff, and I'm like, this is really expensive. I don't want to be paying all this money for all this really expensive stuff. She's like, yeah, I agree with you. So what we end up doing is we end up going and just purchasing these little jigs. They were like $7, $8. I think they were on sale. So I was like, yeah, I'll purchase these jigs. And then we walk out, we're looking at the nice big giant. I think it's the biggest Bass Pro Shop around. So I'm like, all right, cool, we'll go check out the Bass Pro Shop. And my wife is like, all right, yeah, we get out of it, we look at the boats and everything, and I'm kind of telling her, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty dope. We get to look at these boats. Boats are awesome. I love boats, I'm American, so I'm a boat guy. And we end up leaving, and when we go to try to start the car, the starts making this weird sound. And it's just not starting right? And so we end up getting it started, and we end up driving, and my wife is like, yeah, it's scary, it's a scary thing. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, this is really scary. Like, I'm a little curious on why it's acting this way, but, I'm going to try to rock it out, try to act confident for my wife. And we end up taking the car, we end up driving it, and we're probably drove a good 30-40 miles on it when I realized that the car is overheating and it's at max, like completely at maxed out. So I'm like, okay, let me go check this out, see what's going on. And when I do, that's when I find out that the car has completely overheated. And I looked underneath I pull into this gas station, I look underneath the hood, and the upper intake hose for the radiator has completely busted. It turns out that it was eroded on the outside. So I'm like, all right, let's call an Uber. We'll have an Uber come get us, and we'll go drive to an AutoZone. We'll replace it, get some antifreeze, and it'll be completely fine. Well, before I knew it, I didn't know the car wasn't had any white smoke coming out. So I assumed that it was okay. I assumed the car was perfectly fine. I didn't assume there was anything issues with it. Any issues with it. So I'm like, all right, let's check it out, right? Let's see what's going on, see what we can do to get it fixed. Meet this guy. He's a foreigner driving for Uber. He's a great guy, in my opinion, absolutely wonderful. And kind of talked to him a little bit about it, and he was like, yeah, you know what, we'll do that. And he takes us over there, tell him about it. He tells us a little about Johnson City, because that's where we ended up getting out. He's like, yeah, I should go, he's a honeymoon. Go to these little clubs, go check these clubs out. I'm like, yeah, we'll probably go do that here soon. So I definitely agree with you. That's what we should do. So we as driving there, I get the part for it, talk to the guy a little bit. He drives us back. He says, pay me some money, and I will come back out and pick y'all up. I'm like, okay, awesome. I'll definitely do that. And so that was the plan. That's what we ended up doing. And I go put stuff on, and I start the engine up. My wife's like, let's go. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. She's like, why? I said, I got to see if the car is messed up. And she's like, it's not messed up. It's perfectly fine. I'm like, you don't know that. I got to see. So I start the engine. Not even 5 minutes later, white smoke comes out, and I said, fuck. My wife goes, what's wrong? And I'm like, the worst thing that could have possibly happened. And she's like, what's that? And I'm like, the car is broken. She's like, it's broken? What do you mean it's broken? I'm like, the car is broken. I'm like, we can't use it. It's got to get fixed. It needs a whole new head gasket. And she's like, no. And I'm like, yeah. So, that night I ended up calling that guy after spending like $120 on him plus buying the stuff. I'm like, yeah, we need to go. We need to go. And so after a little while of sitting there and trying to buy this stuff called Blue Devil, which by the way, don't ever buy. It's terrible for your engine. It basically seals up any holes or anything for you, especially if you have if your car. Let me try to upgrade these. Especially if your car has like cracks or anything in it, it's not very good. It takes time to drive. You just take your thermostat out, and I didn't have the tools for it, and I tried to get it out, and the tools that I had weren't accurate for it, so I ended up screwing the car up. Ended up screwing the thermostat on it, so I just said screw it, put it off, and we ended up the next morning. We ended up getting a U-Haul. We drove to. Oh, and by the way, my wife had gotten a room and a cabin up in the Smokies in Gatlinburg, and she was like, yeah, we're gonna go enjoy our time, we're gonna have a great time there. And I was like, okay, awesome. And well, it didn't work the way I want it to work, so we ended up learning a lot of stuff. So we go up to these so we go there, pick up the U-Haul, do drive stop. I'm like, all right, man, I'll see you next time in the future. And he's like, awesome. And so just see him next time, right? So he was cool with it, I was cool with it, and that's just kind of how it went, right? Nothing too crazy, right? So the next so we ended up driving, we got out there. My wife's like, finally everything's going a lot better, and I'm like, yeah, it just takes a little bit of time. And she's really excited. I'm excited. I'm like, okay, let's go knock this out. We get there, we have a great time. We're chilling in the chilling up in the cabin we have gotten, and my wife is like, okay, I'm gonna go get some food. I'm like, okay, we can do that. We can go get some food. And she's like, awesome, I want to get some food. So we go out, we go to get some food, and I gotta back out, and we're up on a hill, right? And as I'm backing out of this hill is when I realized that I've cut the corner way too close and I'm going into the ditch. So I get in the ditch and I try to get out and I can't. The U-Haul is stuck. So I'm like, shoot. So the U-Haul is stuck. So we have to call a towing company, and they charge us, I think it was like $200, $300 some dollars just to pull the vehicle out, about probably not even 5 feet out. And then they pulled it out, and we got it out. And we weren't able to afford the insurance for the U-Haul because we only had a limited amount of money on us. At the time, we had the rest of the money back at the room that we were staying in. So we really wasn't able to pay for it. So we had to get her mom to end up paying for it, and we'd pay her the money back. So that's how we got it. So I ended up getting the vehicle stuck. It wasn't the greatest, honestly. It was just a lot of bullshit, honestly, that just kept happening, and it just kept sucking, right? I wasn't happy, my wife wasn't happy, it was not going anywhere close to the way we were expecting it to go, right? So my wife and I, we just roll with it, right? And after rolling with it in some time, everything went well. The honeymoon went well. We ended up staying in the cabin for the night. We made homemade spaghetti. Well, not homemade spaghetti. We got the noodles and stuff like that. Like, we made spaghetti, right? So we ended up making spaghetti. We have these great times. There was no issues going on, and that was it. We ended up coming back, and we went back later. Literally like a week after, we're like, yeah, let's go back over there and actually have a good honeymoon. And if you want to hear that story, go ahead and leave the comment down in the comment sections, or leave a like and subscribe, and I'll have another story like that. And I'll definitely, one of the things I will say about these stories is that later on in the future I will be redoing them, because I know right now in the environment I'm not in the best way to do it.